My name is Meera, and on behalf of the Center for Mental Health Law and Policy at the Indian Law Society, Pune, it is my absolute pleasure to extend a warm welcome to each one of you joining us from different parts of the world. Thank you for making the time to be here. I sincerely believe that all of us present here together in this moment is a deep reflection of our connection with Mr. Keshav Desiraju as a person, his values, and the ideals he stood for. The Keshav Desiraju Memorial Award for Outstanding Public Service in Mental Health was instituted by the Center for Mental Health Law and Policy in 2022. Through this award, we wish to honor the life and legacy of Keshav Desiraju, a former Union Secretary of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and an officer of the Indian Administrative Service who served in multiple positions in the Union government and the government of Uttarakhand over the course of his distinguished and extensive career. Today, the 11th of May 2024, marks Keshav Desiraju's 69th birth anniversary. And while we gather here each year in his memory and to honor his remarkable work, it is not without the commitment to keep his legacy alive. Keshav Desiraju devoted his life to serving society, working tirelessly to bring about transformation in every role he took on. A leader who truly led by example. He was instrumental in facilitating and drafting path-breaking legislations, establishing technical committees, and strengthening governance systems. In fact, when once asked by a colleague what he would like to be most remembered for, it's of no surprise that his humbling answer was the National Mental Health Policy of 2014 and the Mental Health Care Act of 2017. Two of the most progressive policies that brought about a complete paradigm shift in the way the country viewed mental health. So they took a participatory and rights-based approach towards mental health in India. Mr. Desiraju was deeply committed to valuing the insights of technical experts, experts working on the ground, and very importantly, those directly impacted by these policies. With a leadership style marked by genuine warmth and openness, he was open to the opinions of both supporters and critics. A leader who was always ready to listen and learn from others. And every year we are heartened to be joined by Mr. Desiraju's friends, colleagues, and family. Through our gracious speakers, each time we learn a little bit more about the wondrous person he was and the countless lives that he's touched. And now it is upon us to actively promote his values of resolute honesty and integrity, devotion to duty, excellence in every sphere, and social justice for all, by integrating these into the fabric of our communities, inspiring a new generation to uphold these ideals with equal passion and commitment. The Keshav Desiraju Memorial Award for Outstanding Public Service in Mental Health is an annual award that aims to recognize the contribution and efforts of individuals in government service who embody similar values as Keshav Desiraju, and through their work are regarded as allies in making advances in the field of mental health in India. And to set the stage for today's event, it is with great pleasure and warmth that I welcome our first guest of this evening, Ms. Jo Chopra McGowan. Jo Chopra McGowan is an American who has lived in India for the past 43 years. She and her husband Ravi have 3 children, the youngest of whom, Moi Moi, was disabled. Jo is the founder and director of Latika, a leading non-profit in Dehradun, providing services to disabled children and adults. Moi Moi left us in 2018, but her memory lives on through Latika's work. Jo is the author of 5 books and hundreds of essays and articles in major US and Indian publications. In a world that's increasingly polarized, cynical, and suspicious of the other, Jo believes that differences can be fabulous, fun is essential, walls unnecessary, and that there's always enough pie to go around. Thank you, Jo, for making the time to be present with us here today. The stage is yours to elaborate on this very beautiful and, I'd say, poignant theme you've actually picked for today. Keshav Desiraju, the dream of an equal music. Over to you, Jo.
Thank you so much, Meera. The title comes from a short poem by John Donne, and I want to just read a little bit of that poem to you. Let us enter that gate and dwell in that house where there shall be no darkness or dazzling, but one equal light. No noise nor silence, but one equal music. No fears nor hopes, but one equal possession. No ends nor beginnings, but one equal eternity. It's only a 10-line poem, but it uses the word equal 4 times. And I think it's an appropriate passage to riff on for a person whose life was built on an unchanging belief in equality as the foundation for justice, democracy, and the public good. I imagine that this made Keshav's life both simpler and more difficult. Because it was an absolute principle for him, it gave him clarity, the ability to work under a wide spectrum of elected officials and to be beholden to none of them. His loyalty was always to the Constitution, whose rules and remedies apply equally to everybody. But that stubborn clarity also got him into difficulties. He would not compromise on his principles. And inevitably, as we all know, there are many people who have no principles at all. I visited him in Delhi soon after he was made health secretary, and I still remember that majestic office with its spacious views and feeling of power. Given the IAS rules, he couldn't be fired or demoted for adhering to his principles. But the next time we met, he was Secretary for Consumer Affairs, and his new office was dark and dreary. Without a word being spoken, it was clear just what awaits those who value the Constitution over expedience. When I consider the regime we are all currently enduring, I often ask myself, what would Keshav do? I take courage and inspiration from the quiet way that he worked, building those institutions, drafting laws, pushing through proposals, and advocating for systems that work for everybody. He put his faith in those systems, and he spent his entire life strengthening them and inspiring others to do the same. Keshav saw himself as a government servant who reported not to the government, but to the people of India. And he had a preference for the weak and for those who were left out. And his dream of an equal music was really meant for them. I didn't know him well enough to know his views on religion or whether he had any faith at all. But regardless of what he believed, in his daily work, I think he followed the advice of Lord Krishna to Arjun. He said, you have a responsibility to perform your prescribed duty, but you're not entitled to the fruits of your actions. And even more telling and precise, Lord Krishna continued, never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activities. That's not in your hands, good or bad. You just have to do your duty. And I hope that this was some comfort to Keshav as he sat in that dank little office of consumer affairs. To believe in the vision of India, which Keshav epitomized, a culture of grace, humility, devotion to duty, country over self, is to reject categorically the hellish nightmare that we've been living in for these many years. That this award in his honor even exists is because we can still imagine the possibility of change. And I think that's why we keep speaking about him, why we keep honoring people who are doing the work that he would have valued. But even more, I think we speak of him to give ourselves courage to continue the task of nation building, remembering that what people need is not communalism, hatred, division, violence, but self-respect, jobs, healthcare, education, inclusion, dignity, and music. Keshav's fight is our fight. He's gone, but his dream of an equal music for everybody remains. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. That's beautiful. Indeed, I think committing to systemic change is long-term. It's a long-term labor of love, and it requires patience, commitment, empathy, and like you said, above all, belief. And these are just some of the values that Keshav Desiraju stood by and actively practiced. Thank you so much, Joe. It fills me with immense joy and gratitude to now introduce and invite our next guest this evening, Ms. Soumya Rajan. Ms. Soumya Rajan is the founder of Waterfield Advisors, India's largest independent multifamily office and wealth advisory company. A graduate of St. Stephen's College and Oxford University, she is recognized as one of India's top women professionals in finance. Ms. Rajan serves as an independent director on the board of a listed company, Aavas Financiers. She's a nominee on 2 of the regulatory committees set up by the Securities Exchange Board of India, that's SEBI, and the International Financial Services Centers Authority, IFSCA. Ms. Rajan cares deeply about contributing back to the social sector and serves on the boards of several nonprofit organizations in the education and healthcare space. Ms. Rajan is also Keshav Desiraju's niece. Thank you so much for being here with us today and joining us this evening. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Meera, and ladies and gentlemen. It is with immense pride and deep respect that I speak to you today about a person who was not only an esteemed figure in the public health space, but also my beloved uncle, Keshav Desiraju. His contributions to the neglected areas of healthcare, namely mental health, palliative care, disability rights, and geriatric care in India were pioneering. Uncle Keshav was a person of remarkable intellect and compassion. His career in the Indian Administrative Service was distinguished by a profound commitment to improving health policies and systems. Yet it was his deep dedication to mental health that truly set him apart. One of Keshav's most significant achievements was his instrumental role in the implementation of the National Mental Health Policy of India in 2014. This policy, under his stewardship, was just not a document, but in fact a bold declaration of the rights of every individual to access mental health care. His vision was clear. The care had to be accessible, affordable, and available to all, regardless of one's socio-economic status. Keshav's approach was always inclusive and empathetic. He believed in listening to the voices of those who lived the realities of mental illness. His efforts were not only limited to policy alone, but he actively engaged with various stakeholders, including healthcare providers, nonprofits, and the community at large, to spread awareness as well as to foster a better understanding of mental health issues. In particular, he was deeply and closely associated with the Banyan and Balm, a Chennai-based nonprofit founded by Vandana Gopikumar and Vaishnavi Jaikumar that recognized the need to be a crisis intervention and rehabilitation center for homeless women with mental illness. In conversations with Vandana, Keshav nudged her to be more ambitious and would constantly encourage her. A year after Keshav's passing, the Banyans secured significant grants from the Azim Premji Foundation and McKinsey Scott. And this is really what Keshav did so well. He touched lives and nurtured and encouraged others to dare to dream big and to pursue with passion the causes they deeply believed in. Beyond the policy framework, Keshav's work also extended to the grassroots level. He was pivotal in enhancing healthcare services across the country by increasing the availability of health professionals and improving the infrastructure of healthcare facilities. This vision encouraged another friend, Sonalini Meerchandani, a former civil servant, to work in the area of palliative care in Nandurbarg, Maharashtra. In her words, "Thanks to Keshav, we have a national policy on palliative care, and this much neglected aspect is receiving some attention." In memory of Keshav, Sonalini set up the Karuna Evam Shanti Vahini Foundation, which is doing remarkable work to support the design and implementation of interventions in public health that address inequities within communities. Keshav's contributions were characterized by his unwavering integrity and ethical standards. He faced challenges, indeed resistance at times, from various quarters as he pushed for reforms that were critical yet controversial. Yet he remained undeterred, driven by a conviction that the welfare of the people was paramount. His courage to stand firm in his beliefs, even in the face of adversity, serves as an inspiring lesson to all of us. On behalf of Keshav's family, I am deeply grateful to Soumitra Pathare and the team at the Center for Mental Health Law and Policy and its donors for instituting the Keshav Desiraju India Mental Health Observatory and for constituting the Keshav Desiraju Memorial Award for outstanding public service in mental health. To the winner tonight, thank you for upholding the values of Uncle Keshav and for your dedication to making advances in the field of mental health. Ladies and gentlemen, Keshav's legacy in mental health is a beacon of hope and a testament to what dedicated public service can achieve. His life's work continues to inspire a new generation of policymakers, healthcare professionals, and providers and advocates who are committed to the cause of mental health. As his niece, I witnessed firsthand his dedication and the long hours he devoted to this mission. His deep care for the well-being of others, his ability to empathize with the distressed, and his tireless spirit have been my guiding stars. In closing, I invite all of you to remember and honor Keshav Desiraju not just as a policymaker or an administrator, but as a visionary who believed in the power of humanity to overcome its greatest challenges. Let us all be inspired by his life and continue his mission of making mental health care a reality for everyone, everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rajan. Thank you so much. I also want to take this moment to express our sincere gratitude to the entire family for being extremely supportive of this initiative since its inception in 2022. It really means a lot to us. Thank you so much. I am pleased to invite our next speaker this evening, Mr. N. Narayanan, Principal Private Secretary to Keshav Desiraju. Mr. Narayanan has shared a brief note on how he first met Keshav Desiraju. And before I hand over the mic to you, sir, if I could read out your note in your own words. So you say that the first time I met Mr. Keshav Desiraju was at Nirman Bhavan in New Delhi when he was posted as the Additional Secretary at the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. And you say I was working in the ministry with his predecessor and continued to work with him when he took charge. Since then, till his superannuation in 2015, I had the opportunity to work with him as his Principal Private Secretary for 5 full years. When he joined the ministry, I introduced myself and asked him whether he would like to retain me. He immediately replied saying, yes. What I didn't know back then was that he'd already inquired about me and had got some good feedback. So that's how my journey with Mr. Keshav Desiraju began. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing that with us. I think it's well acknowledged that he held himself to the same high standards he expected of others. So he was one to really do his homework, rigorously perfecting every detail. And that's an example of what you've just shared with us. But over to you, sir, now.
Good evening to everyone, and my hearty congratulations to the winner of this award this year. At the outset, I would like to thank Dr. Soumitra Pathare for giving me this opportunity. It's indeed a privilege and an honor to speak on this occasion, that about sir. To me, Mr. Keshav Desiraju, I should say is, even though I am grammatically incorrect, please pardon me for this fallacy. Mr. Keshav Desiraju is a refreshingly different bureaucrat. I didn't mean any bad sense to other bureaucrats with whom I have worked in my 25 years of career. But how he is different, refreshingly different, is basically he never had the assumption or the ego of a topmost bureaucrat in the country. He was so humble and down to earth. At the same time, he did not forget who he was. He was wielding his power and authority and exercised it when it is demanded and needed. So he was balancing both at the same time without any effort. It was so natural to him. One example I would like to share is like once he wanted to go to AIMS to do a checkup. So we went to AIM. I also went along with him to AIMS in Delhi. So the doctor gave the appointment. The time was 12:30. I could remember it pretty well. That was the only occasion I accompanied him, of course. So first we went to the director's office in AIMS and he offered him tea and all. Then he said, okay, I'm going and I will see the doctor and then I will leave to office. You please continue with your work. So we left the director's office. The director sent a peon from his office to drop us in the doctor's office so that he can see the doctor and then leave. So as we reached the doctor's office, before the room, there was a hall and it was filled with patients. They were all sitting and some patient was inside. So sir told me the time was 12:30. It is only 12:15. Let us wait. Don't send any word inside to the doctor. I will wait. So I was a bit uncomfortable, but still I have to listen to him. So I waited. After 5 minutes, he was just going through his reports. I took that opportunity and I made a gesture to the peon there, and then I called him near me, and then I told him, Saab is here to see the doctor. Just send a word to the doctor. She will call. She will know and she will call. Then he went inside and told the doctor. The moment the patient left, then the doctor immediately called. Then the moment he entered the room, he said, I'm extremely sorry to interrupt your precious time. And I was barging and I was breaking the queue and coming inside. I feel very bad. My time was only 12:30. Why did you call at 12:20? He said, no, sir, not a problem. Please show me the reports. And she attended to him. And then we came back. While driving back, he said, Naren, you did a wrong thing. We should not barge in like that. See how many people were sitting. They must be sitting from morning 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock without food or water. I just came just because secretary and I barged in. This is not the way things should work. Now, that's how he conducted himself as a sitting health secretary in AIMS. We recommend so many people day in and day out. We give time so that they break the queue, see the doctor, and then do. So every day we do it in the office. But for him, he did not appreciate that. And that is a kind of person. That's why he's refreshingly different. Why he's refreshingly different? The other reason was when he assumed charge, he was brought in by Sujata Rao madam to the ministry, handpicked by madam, just to inquire into a irregularity happened in a medical college in Punjab, to inquire and submit a report. It was not a general governmental inquiry. He came, his only work was to attend to that. And there was no other portfolio, no other divisions, charge, projects was given to him. Exclusively, he has to inquire into that incident and submit a report. He did that within the time frame allotted, I think 3 months, initial 3 months. And the decision he took, the hallmark of bureaucracy is decision making. Of course, policy making, public service, everything goes with it. But the main stay of bureaucracy is decision making. So he conducted an inquiry, not a routine one, not a routine submission of a report, and washed his hands off. Okay, I have done my duty. Now it's left to the government. He recommended dismantling of the entire Medical Council of India because the inquiry found it traced back the wrongdoings back to the Medical Council of India. It was not a local affair in a medical college. So it was a very bold decision. Nobody will think to take the decision so fast, but he immediately said it has to be done. The Medical Council has to be dismantled. In its place, yeah, governing body has to be nominated. It's not an elected body. Earlier, Medical Council was an elected body. It's a nominated body. So he handpicked the honest and clean professionals, medical professionals, to participate in the governing body and clean the entire system. The mental health care bill, it's a policy that he started because nobody took care of that mental health, paid attention to mental health care basically, but it was his heart and soul. So he picked it up. He started right from the first word. Every letter was changed. It was not a cosmetic amendment or a change to the policy. Every letter was written afresh and rewritten basically. Why it was an outstanding policy decision? All bureaucrats make policies, they take decisions. Why it was so different? Because he was facing the wrath of the decision he took in the matter of Medical Council of India, but he did not allow that to affect him in his decision making for this policy. And this, yes, done it in a record time. Generally, it's not so easy to make a policy, get it approved in the ministry, then take it to the parliament, and then get it approved there also, and then bring it back again, make the rules for its implementation. It's a very elaborate process. But he has done it with such a ease. He believed in the system. He was not against the system. He was not criticizing the system. He was part of the system, but he acknowledged that there is something not correct in the system, and he corrected it by being in the system without creating any confrontation or friction. Normally, he is a person who never takes up confrontation with anybody. But if a war or a confrontation is thrown at him, he is not the one to budge and walk away and look away the other side. So that's the kind of person. Is both humble and authoritative at the same time. He balanced it very well, and it reflected, his decisions reflected in the functioning of the entire country. That's why I consider him as to be so refreshingly different. Before I conclude, I will just, I'm sorry if I have taken more time. Just one incident I will share and then I will conclude, Meera. He's equally witty also. You would never say that he is a person occupying a seat that is full of pressure and challenges. He will conduct himself as when he walks as if the entire world is his. Very casual and carefree. He used to hum some Carnatic music on the corridors and he used to walk as if he's a carefree man without any trouble. And his sense of humor is too good. Once, private secretary used to come from finance ministry, and one of his colleagues recommended him to accommodate him in his office, secretary's office. So he told me 1 month before, his name is Indu Prasad. He said, Indu will be joining us in a month's time. So you tell the administration to post it in our office. He will be working with us. I said, okay, sir. So he came and joined in the ministry and he was posted, and I took him inside to introduce him. I told him, sir, Indu has come. He has joined our office. Orders have been issued. And Mr. Indu, secretary, sir. Then they were exchanging courtesies and they were talking. Before leaving, I just added one more introduction to him. Since Mr. Desiraju was very interested in Carnatic music, I told him, sir, Mr. Indu Prasad also learned Mridangam. It's a percussion instrument in Carnatic music. He plays very well Mridangam also. Then immediately was doing some work, immediately turned like this and I said, does he know how to type? Then we both burst into laughter. So he was so witty and his sense of humor, the timing is impeccable. You will never assume that he is a person working under pressure because he never took any pressure upon himself, even though he did all those things for the good of the country. And I thank you once again, Dr. Soumitra Patare, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Mr. Narayanan. Thank you for sharing those personal reflections and those anecdotes. I think, the phrase, they don't make any more like him, it fits really well here because that's true. They don't make any more like him now. Thank you so much for joining us today. We at the Center for Mental Health Law and Policy were honored to have Mr. Desiraju play a key role in many of our initiatives. He maintained a strong and enduring relationship with our director, Dr. Soumitra Patare. Together, they worked closely as part of the Mental Health Policy Group in redesigning the district mental health program and formulating the Mental Health Care Act of 2017. And that's something, like I mentioned earlier, it's a legislation which has been widely praised for its progressive and transformative approach. Mr. Desiraju had a profound understanding of the complex and layered nature of mental health and suicide prevention. He recognized how these issues are closely intertwined with social identity and discrimination. He worked to hold the state accountable and uphold principles of human rights and social justice. As you may be aware, and Ms. Rajan also spoke of it, that in 2020, we launched the India Mental Health Observatory, which is now the Keshav Desiraju India Mental Health Observatory, an initiative that focuses on evidence-based policy making to advance mental health in India. Mr. Keshav Desiraju was a part of the steering committee since its inception and played a key role in shaping and advising the project. He actively supported our work and other initiatives at the center. And it is my honor to now invite Mrs. Vaijayanti Joshi, the Honorary Secretary of the Indian Law Society, the legal entity of the Center for Mental Health Law and Policy. Mrs. Vaijayanti Joshi is also the Director of Academics and Administration at ILS Law College. She's a recipient of the prestigious state-level Asha Deep Award by Asha Deep Nyas Panvel for an invaluable contribution to the field of legal education for more than 2 decades. Her areas of interest are jurisprudence, family law, and administrative law. Thank you for your presence this evening, Mrs. Joshi. Over to you. We'll need you to unmute, ma'am. No worries.
Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, and good evening to all of you. Friends, it is a profound honor for me to be with you today as we pay tribute to the enduring legacy of Keshav Desiraju, who was a true visionary. This is the 3rd year of the Keshav Desiraju Memorial Award for outstanding public service in mental health. It is at this juncture I would like to reflect upon the journey that has led us to this moment. Friends, the Indian Law Society is a trust and it was founded in 1923. So it is a rich history and legacy spanning over a century. This trust serves as a parent organization for the Center for Mental Health, Law and Policy. Under the leadership of Dr. Soumitra Pathare, the center has undertaken extensive work in research, action and advocacy on mental health since 2007. Given the rising global and national interest in mental health and suicide prevention over the past few years, the center is increasingly emerging as a leader in this field. We at the ILS are proud to support this initiative of Memorial Award and would like to acknowledge and congratulate the efforts of every individual and organization working to strengthen the mental health landscape in the country. Our association with Mr. Desiraju goes back many years, I think since 2007, when the center was established, where his steadfast support for the Indian Law Society and the center through his friendship with Dr. Pathare has been invaluable. Mr. Desiraju played a pivotal role in transforming the mental health discourse and public policy in India. He promoted a paradigm shift to a right-based approach to mental health, and as mentioned by all of you numerously many a times earlier, he is widely credited as the driving force behind the enactment of Mental Health Care Act of 2017. To honor Mr. Desiraju's vision for mental health in India in 2022, we proudly renamed one of our projects from the India Mental Health Observatory to the Keshav Desiraju India Memorial Health Observatory. This renaming serves as a perpetual tribute to his legacy and our continued dedication to advancing mental health research and policy making. Mr. Desiraju's work ethic, values, and dedication to social justice continue to inspire us as we navigate the evolving landscape of mental health advocacy and policy. As we expand our scope of work, we remain steadfast in upholding these values and ethics, ensuring that Mr. Desiraju's vision continues to guide our efforts for years to come. At the conclusion, I would like to congratulate the winner of this award this year, and I thank all of you for your very active support to this foundation and our work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Joshi. Thank you for your presence this evening, and we are grateful for your continued support to the center and our initiatives. Thank you again. While Mr. Desiraju is no longer with us, his vision for an improved mental health system remains. And as mentioned multiple times, we're immensely proud of our pioneering initiative, the Keshav Desiraju India Mental Health Observatory, which has expanded substantially in the past 4 years and is now broadening its horizons. I'm pleased to introduce my colleague, Tanya Fernandez, who is a program manager and research fellow at the center, to tell you more about the Keshav Desiraju India Mental Health Observatory. Over to you, Tanya.
Thank you, Meera. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tanya. It is my great honor to speak to you today about the Keshav Desiraju India Mental Health Observatory. Established in 2020 with the Family Foundation, the project was conceptualized and steered under the insightful guidance of Mr. Desiraju. The Keshav Desiraju India Mental Health Observatory is a repository of data and information on the mental health system to promote evidence-based policy making and bridge systemic gaps for advancing mental health in India. Our mission is to improve mental health outcomes by facilitating equitable, accessible, affordable, quality, and rights-based mental health care. We collaborate and engage with diverse stakeholders to collect, collate, and disseminate data and research on mental health laws, policies, and services. Last year, as Meera mentioned, we have broadened our horizons by working in hyperlocal contexts with community stakeholders, as well as expanding to an international stage in collaboration with various state and non-state actors. Our work spans 7 broad thematic areas, including laws, policies, and programs, budgets, human rights, and the structural determinants of mental health. Over the last 4 years, we have produced over 71 publications. Some prominent ones are a 5-part series deconstructing the district mental health program, including the latest brief that examines state budgetary allocations and utilization, a policy brief on the practical implications of the recently enacted criminal code to decriminalize suicide, the launch of the IMHO blog to bring up-to-date developments on mental health to a larger audience, with recent posts on the interim union budget for mental health and the findings from our cost of treatment survey in Pune. And last but not the least, our continued countrywide effort to track the implementation of the Mental Health Care Act 2017. I'd now like to take you through some of our latest innovative initiatives, beginning with our work in digital mental health. We aim to guide development of digital mental health interventions in India, a rapidly growing field. At present, we have published a series of outputs that evaluate the evidence and map government and for-profit run initiatives with their benefits and challenges. Soon, we plan to co-create an evaluation framework for mental health application with users, developers, and clinicians, and assess the legal framework for digital mental health. Another novel initiative is to trial the use of creative methods to strengthen grassroots mental health policy making in rural Chhattisgarh. With the support of the Wellcome Trust and our partner Tumbi Labs, we piloted the use of tools and games to engage community members in local policy processes. Using storytelling, we engaged people with lived experience, carers, and community organizations to explore how people access mental health care on the ground and forefront their voices in the process. We then worked with Gram Panchayat members to showcase access-related barriers through digital simulations and facilitated the creation of village-level plans to improve mental health outcomes in communities. Lastly, we have broadened our scope globally, collaborating with the World Health Organization's Southeast Asian Regional Office to develop a regional report on deinstitutionalization or the transitioning of people from long-term psychiatric institutions into communities. We engaged stakeholders from the 11 member countries to understand barriers and facilitators for deinstitutionalization. We recently participated in a multi-country meeting with policymakers, health officials, and experts to deliberate the challenges for deinstitutionalization and the way forward. We are sincerely grateful to our funders and partners for their continued support in the last year. All this work would not be possible without our dynamic and interdisciplinary team of researchers and interns. In the next few years, the Keshav Desiraju India Mental Health Observatory aims to scale to new geographies and audiences, empowering people with credible data and information to advance mental health in their communities, in line with Mr. Desiraju's commitment to strengthen and transform mental health systems. In order to do so, we are constantly looking for partners and funders to support our work. If you are interested in collaborating with us or funding us, please feel free to contact me at tanya@cmhlp.org. You can also visit our website by scanning the QR code to learn more about our work and subscribe to our newsletter. Thank you, and back to you, Meera.
Thank you, Tanya. We at the Center are honored to carry forward Mr. Desiraju's commitment to strengthening the mental health system in India. And now, on to the moment we've been working toward for the past several months. But before we announce the recipient of this year's award, here's a quick look at the selection process, followed by the organizing committee consisting of the award secretariat and the jury. Beginning February 2024, we invited individuals across the country to nominate themselves or others who met the eligibility criteria. These announcements were made across social media platforms, our website, and through emailers to individuals, groups, and networks. Applicants were required to submit an online application form, which consisted of 4 rigorous sections, each with a set of questions to learn more about the individual, their work, and their future plans to advance the field of mental health in India. Like every year, the jury then individually reviewed the applications and during a closed-door deliberation, thoroughly discussed and debated every nomination to arrive at a joint decision on the most deserving recipient of the Keshav Desiraju Memorial Award for Outstanding Public Service in Mental Health for the year 2024. The recipient will receive a memento and plaque specially designed in honor of Keshav Desiraju by artist and sculptor Abir Patwardhan. Crafted from brass and teakwood, the memento seeks to capture Mr. Desiraju's multifaceted personality. It takes the shape of a flowing organic form, serving as a visual representation of his immense generosity and lively spirit. The recipient will also receive a certificate and citation by the jury, a prize of 50,000 rupees, and Mr. Desiraju's last completed work that was published in 2021, the critically acclaimed book of Gifted Voice, The Life and Art of M.S. Subbulakshmi. It is with great anticipation that we now turn to the announcement of this year's award. And for this, I'm honored to introduce you to each of our esteemed jury members. I will begin with Ms. K. Sujata Rao. Ms. K. Sujata Rao is a former Union Secretary of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. Of her 36 years of service as a civil servant, she spent 20 years in the health sector at the state and federal levels. Ms. Rao holds MA and MPA degrees from Delhi University and Harvard University, as well as prestigious fellowships from Harvard School of Public Health. Ms. Rao has represented India in boards and advisory panels of various international organizations, including the Global Fund for HIV/AIDS, TB, and Malaria at WHO and UNAIDS, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the Public Health Foundation of India, and the National Health Systems Resource Center, that is the NHSRC, of the Government of India, among others. Currently, Ms. Rao holds positions as a board member of various NGOs and is also Commissioner of the Lancet Citizens Commission on Reimagining India's Health System, centered around introducing universal health coverage. She's also the author of the book titled Do We Care? India's Health System. Thank you for being a part of the jury once again, as well as being present here today, Ms. Rao. Our next jury member is Mr. Amitabha Bhattacharya. Mr. Bhattacharya is a mechanical engineer by education, and he joined the Indian Administrative Service in 1975 and was allotted the Andhra Pradesh cadre. He spent over 30 years of his career in various leadership positions at the center and state level. He retired in 2009 as Principal Advisor, Education and Culture from the Planning Commission in New Delhi. He also served the United Nations Development Programme as the Chief of Programs in the fields of energy and environment for 5 years. Post his retirement, he served as a Director of Development Consultants Private Limited, where he started his career and has held positions as a Fellow of the Institution of Engineers in India and the Vice President of the Consulting Engineers Association of India. He's been awarded with the Distinguished Alumnus Award by his alma mater, the Indian Institute of Engineering, Science and Technology, Shibpur. He writes on issues of public interest for various newspapers and journals. In 1987, he joined the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration in Mussoorie as a faculty member, where he first met Mr. Keshav Desiraju, and their friendship continued over the years. Thank you, Mr. Bhattacharya, for being part of the jury since the beginning of this award and for joining us this evening. Our third jury member is Dr. Anant Bhan. Dr. Bhan is trained as a medical doctor with a master's degree in bioethics from the University of Toronto. He's an adjunct visiting professor at Yenapoya, deemed to be university, and is immediate past president of the International Association of Bioethics. His work is focused on ethics and equity in health, mental health, digital health, public health, research, community engagement, ethics of innovative technologies, and training for professionals. Dr. Bhan serves as a guest faculty at various educational institutes in India and abroad. He's a mentor for Sangat's Bhopal Hub and is the principal investigator of various projects at the hub funded by both national and international funders. Dr. Bhan worked with Mr. Desiraju as a member of the Public Health Advisory Board for the Thakur Family Foundation. Thank you, Dr. Bhan, for being part of the jury again since the beginning of the award and for also joining us this evening. Well, I would now like to pass on the mic to our jury members to walk us through their thoughts, their process, and other considerations when making the final selection for the award. So I'll hand over the mic to you first, Ms. Rao.
Thank you so much. First of all, good evening to everyone. Today is Keshav's birthday, and we remember him with great affection and fondness, but still feel regret that he left us a bit too early. He had much to offer and had so many interests and was so versatile in his interests, and his whole personality was so versatile and so wonderful as a person. So on behalf of Keshav's friends, I cannot therefore thank CMH enough for instituting this award in his name. It's a very befitting tribute and one that must gladden his heart wherever he is. I knew Keshav officially, and later after retirement got more time to get to know him personally. Otherwise in the office it was always a mad rush. Of course, I knew him and his family before, much before, but that's different. He was a wonderful person and I miss him sorely and really, very deeply. The Keshav Memorial Award is now for the third year in succession, and I feel very privileged that I'm associated with it. We, as Meera has pointed out, the huge procedure, it was careful selection. It involved, we got about 22 applications, and it was truly very difficult to choose the winner. But it was such a wonderful thought of CMH to honor somebody working in the public sector. That's what Keshav would have wanted, because it's always these people who work selflessly in the public sector that get least attention, largely because they're hardly ever known and they're just working all the time, but without any reward or any recognition whatsoever. So from the public sector employees, again, I would like to thank CMH for being so thoughtful. Amitabh was a dear friend of Keshav, and he's a dear friend of mine too. So, it's been a great pleasure to have him in the committee and to work with him. And Anant, of course, as you all know, is one of our outstanding public health intellectuals in the country. He gave much wisdom and more insights on the mental health professionals who are working in the country. So I thank them both for making this very difficult decision of who the awardee should be this year. Very interesting, insightful, and joyful too. So I would like to now hand over to Amitabh, who will say a few words. And I don't know if you're going to announce the awardee now, not now. We'll keep the suspense. After you've said a few words, Anant, I've said a few words, then I think the mic will come back to you to make the announcement. Thank you so much.
So we need you to unmute.
Thank you, Sujata. As Ms. Sujata Rao mentioned, the jury went into details, deliberated extensively, and zeroed in finally on the recipient. Though selection is not made on how Mr. Desiraju's personality is reflected in the final selection, this always works at the back of our mind, especially because all of us jury members had known Keshav Desiraju personally and pretty well. I have known him since 1987, when we were colleagues as deputy directors in the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, Mussoorie. And then our friendship in course of time intensified and continued till his premature exit from this planet. He is celebrated as a former health secretary who has done so much for mental health sector. But I had known him as a friend, therefore for me to be very objective is difficult. But there are two characteristics of his, which is he had an acute intellect, which all of us know of, and his heart was at the right place. He was not a typical IAS officer who would be slogging 18 hours a day or so. He chose his subjects very carefully and gave his full into it. He never dissipated his efforts or energy thin. I have seen there are certain areas whether falling within his domain of work or outside. If he's passionately involved in it, he would go whole hog into it. This aspect, therefore, there have been times we used to discuss many things, from Satyajit Ray to M.S. Subbulakshmi. That is other part, because he was very erudite and very well read as well. And we are discussing continuously what are the latest books he has been going through or we have been going through. Coming to this specific issue, even in those days, in Mussoorie days, we saw Keshav focused on involving NGOs with government programs. In fact, sometimes in closed IAS circles, he was often criticized as having gone too far towards that side. But that was his passion. I remember in those days, there was a practice when the IAS professionals during the peak winter months from mid-December to mid-February used to leave Mussoorie and go into different parts of India as a part of their winter study tour program, popularly known as Bharat Darshan. And that was the time we had, what is conventional has been professionals would be having public sector attachment with the defense and many other areas. But attachment with NGO was introduced around that time, 85, 86, 87. And Keshav took the maximum interest in that, in selecting which are these non-governmental organizations, which are the grassroots organizations working either in the tribal upliftment or in health or in the education sector, where the professionals should be exposed to. This is something where we saw Keshav, and we all used to depend completely on Keshav. And so far as that part is concerned, Keshav would decide which professionals would be going to which particular organization. This was fundamental in him. The second thing I found him focusing totally on wherever he had worked, both in the health and education sectors where he had worked earlier, is in improving capacities. Capacity building was his was one of his passions. And we saw that, starting in Mussoorie, which he continued in his later years and all. Recently, a book has come out, many of you might know, by the Finance Secretary of India, called State Capacity. It shows what are the areas and what are the limitations of state capacity also. Keshav was acutely aware of that. And therefore, he always thought that larger civil society organizations should be involved in all major governmental programs. That was his passion, and that he continued to pursue all his life. All his life thereafter, including as Health Secretary to Government of India, his major contribution was in involving larger civil society with government initiative, especially in health and education sectors. When we looked at the various applications for this particular award, we were struck by Professor Dr. Keshav, whom we selected eventually. And he was also more than an eminent academic and researcher. He also, besides his teaching and research engagements, worked ceaselessly on capacity building and initiating the Nimhans Community Child and Adolescent Mental Health Service Project, which has now extended to a national initiative called Sangbad. Men of ideas and action never retire. And here, the recipient of today's award, whose name I'll be announcing shortly, continues to serve Sangbad in a full-time advisory capacities. This shows his lifelong commitment to public health, something which was very, very close to Keshav Desiraju's heart. With this, I hand over the mic to Anant. Thank you.
Thank you, Amitabhji. I just want to maybe start off by mentioning that it's absolutely been a privilege to be associated with an award which has been instituted in the name of Keshav, and I thank the Center for Mental Health Law and Policy for including me in the jury. It's always a privilege also to work with fellow jury members, in this case, Sujata-ji and Amitabhji. As has been mentioned, this award recognizes excellence in the field of public mental health, and this is an important area because we have several awards which cover various aspects of public health and mental health, but hardly any recognition for those who demonstrate a commitment to mental health while working in public service. And that requires a lot of perseverance in a field which has been underserved, which has been under-recognized. We hope that this award will help promote integrity, commitment to social justice, access to mental health as a right, and to keep doing this while you are doing public service. This award recognizes, of course, individuals and celebrates the memory of Keshav through this cohort that is developing over the years. As this cohort grows, it also serves to highlight both the crucial importance of dedicated public service and also specifically its importance in public health and mental health. So without further ado, I will hand it back to Amitabh for announcing the 2024 awardee.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Anand. Now, based on the deliberations and unanimous recommendation by the jury members, I, Amitabh Bhattacharya, on behalf of the jury members, have the pleasure to announce Professor Dr. Shekhar Seshadri as the recipient of the Keshav Desiraju Memorial Award for Outstanding Public Service in Mental Health 2024. I congratulate Professor Seshadri and wish him good health and continued dedication to the cause of mental health. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rao, Mr. Bhattacharya and Dr. Bhan, and many congratulations, Dr. Shekhar Seshadri, on this well-deserved recognition. Before I hand over the mic to you, I'd like to read out the jury's citation. I quote, Shekhar Seshadri is awarded the Keshav Desiraju Memorial Award for Outstanding Public Service in Mental Health for the year 2024 for his exceptional contributions to child and adolescent mental health in India. Through a notable career of over 35 years as former senior professor at the Department of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry and Dean and Director at NIMHANS, Dr. Seshadri's Seshadri's expertise spans childhood trauma, gender, sexuality, development disabilities, and life skills education, with a commitment to public education and capacity building. Dr. Seshadri has been instrumental in policy and legal initiatives, engaging in key discussions on the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012 and the Juvenile Justice Act 2015, and serving as a working group member of the National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. He was instrumental in the establishment of the NIMHANS Community Child and Adolescent Mental Health Service project, which developed into Samvad, a unique national initiative and integrated resource for child protection, mental health, and psychosocial care, supported by the Ministry of Women and Child Development, Government of India. Dr. Seshadri's contributions as a public mental health professional and his impactful work in the community, including use of innovative tools such as art, music, and theatre, and significantly extending beyond his academic and clinical work, make him a worthy recipient of the Keshav Desiraju Memorial Award for Outstanding Public Service in Mental Health for the year 2024. Many, many congratulations, Dr. Seshadri, and I will finally now hand over the mic to you.
Thank you very much, Meera. Friends, having met and interacted with Keshav Desiraju while he was still in service at the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, I have a first-hand experience of his deep commitment to mental health. It is thus a matter of honor for me to receive this award in the name of such an illustrious services officer. I have had professional collaboration with the Center of Mental Health Law and Policy, and I wish to thank all of you at the Center and the Indian Law Society for not only instituting this award, but also carrying out related processes with such grace and warmth. Personally, I have never applied for awards, and hence I must acknowledge the conviction of my friend and medical school classmate, Ellen Balaji, who initiated the process and persuaded me to accept. Indeed, the entire 1975 to 79 MBBS batch of Maulana Azad Medical College, Delhi, have been my band of brothers. Next year in 2025, it'll be 50 years from the time we joined medical school. My batchmates have all been community-oriented, even to this day, running a philanthropy for a family of martyrs, the disadvantaged and economically weaker sections of society. Friends, I have always believed that the landscape of practice of child mental health goes far beyond textbooks and clinics to all the spaces that children occupy and inhabit. Thus, public child mental health has been a major focus of my life's work and career, and NIMHANS offered me the education, the space, and the context to consolidate this. I'm proud to say today that we run the largest public child mental health initiative in the history of this country, Samvad. It is with equal pride that I acknowledge the team of Samvad for its dedication to the children of India, taking child mental health into the parliament, the highest court of this country, and to every corner of this country. As you know, Samvad works in 4 verticals in core mental health. So we work with the district mental health program, tertiary care institutions, NGOs, and civil society organizations. We work with the education sector with school consortiums, the education ministry, NCRT. We work with child protection, with childcare institution staff, and we work with policy and law, with the JJ Act, with other laws, with the police, the judiciary at the state and national levels, to essentially meet the gap as far as the delivery of child mental health care services are concerned. We know, friends, what the status of child mental health training in India is, that there are only 2 centers that offer a DM program and 11 centers that offer a postdoctoral fellowship. So the gap is huge. And we therefore needed to extend child mental health service delivery to service providers outside the professional sector. And this is what Samvad has managed to do in the last 4 years as an outcome of the earlier project that we were running for 7 years. Samvad believes in a transdisciplinary approach. It's not enough for a mental health professional to diagnose PTSD in a traumatized child. He or she has to assist the child through judicial processes and police processes which cause re-traumatization and secondary victimization. So a mental health professional needs to know law and processes. It's not enough for a judge to listen to testimony and adjudicate. Who's the child? 3 years old? 6 years old with hearing and speech disability? 9-year-old with intellectual disability? So a judge has to know developmental and mental health implications of evidence gathering. And this is what public child mental health means when you embrace transdisciplinarity as an ideology and a philosophy to extend services that. One of the premises that we worked with throughout my career and my training was nothing was small. So if a preschool with 40 children whose 6-year-olds were graduating to first class invited me for an annual day, I would go and speak to parents about parenting, speak to children about transition, and prepare them to essentially be resilient to the kind of changes that. And this is how essentially public mental health, public child mental health in this case, actually grows. That I owe a debt of gratitude to the extended community of practitioners and the network of practitioners in the arena of child protection with whom we have worked extensively. Public child mental health, friends, means working with systems and working with duty bearers. And it's important to really understand how government systems, the judiciary, the police systems work, to work with state governments, to really take child mental health right now, as what Samvad is doing, into the panchayat level. Part of our plan, in fact, is to work with aspirational districts, 112 odd of them, of the 700 odd districts in the country, to all the affirming people in my life, family, friends, classmates from Denobli, from FAPS in Delhi, from Maulana Azad, from NIMHANS, many of whom I'm sure are on the session today, and collaborators that I have worked with in the past, and indeed the core team of Samvad. I have been blessed to be part of your lives and to have you as part of my life. And in accepting this award, we basically rededicate ourselves to the principles that were part of Keshav Desiraju's entire life ideology, which is to sustain mental health as a robust public health approach, and in our instance, to rededicate ourselves to the children of India. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Seshadri, for your meaningful work and commitment to this field for more than 3 decades. We wish you all the very best for your future. Thank you again for joining us. And well, like all good things, this very special evening also comes to an end. And I'd like to invite Dr. Soumitra Pathare, the Director of the Center for Mental Health Law and Policy at the Indian Law Society, Pune, to deliver our vote of thanks. The stage is yours, Soumitra.
Thank you. Thanks, Meera. I'm not going to keep you long. You know, like with every good meal, the guy who brings in the check should not be the one who should keep you waiting too long to get into your cars and get home. But just take a few words to say. First of all, congratulations to Shekhar. Very well deserved. I just wanted to say that one thing that didn't come out in the conversation is that Keshav had a wicked sense of humor. Okay, and anyone who's known him well would know that. And so, I do miss him a lot for that. And it was completely unfair of him to leave us like that without any notice. I mean, who the hell gave him permission to go? Anyway, we try to remember Keshav. We don't gather here every year to mourn Keshav. We gather here to celebrate his life. I would like to really thank all of you who participated in the event today, especially people who joined in to listen to the various speakers, to all of the speakers, to the jury members, and most importantly, to our entire team, the governing council at the Indian Law Society, Mr. Joshi and Meera and the other team, without whom it wouldn't have been possible. That's Amiti, Tanya, Shubhada, as well as Ramya. Thank you all so much. I'll end this by just saying there's a reason why we do this online. We first started it during the pandemic and people said, why don't you now go offline? The reason to do it online is it actually gives a lot of people, Keshav's friends from across the world and across India, to be able to be part of it. Whereas if we did it like a physical event, then it would not be possible for everyone to attend. And so we will continue with this tradition of doing it online. Thank you all very much for being here. We shall gather again, I'm sure, to remember Keshav. I hope you remember Keshav every day. I remember him every day, not just for who and what he was in his capacity as the IAS officer, but as a person. And that's something that I try and remember every day. I do miss him a lot. Thank you all so much. Bye-bye. I'm going to hand over back to Meera.
Thank you, Soumitra. Thank you so much. It's indeed been a pleasure for me as well to be part of this initiative since the start, and at the cost of, again, repeating what you've just said, I would also take this moment to acknowledge and sincerely thank the award secretariat, which has been working tirelessly behind the scenes. So thank you, Amiti, Ramya, Shubhda, and Safwan. And thank you to our very warm audience for making the time to be here today. We look forward to your presence again in 2025 to honor the life and legacy of Keshav Desiraju, an extraordinary human being. Thank you again and have a good evening ahead.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Rao.